Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Welcome back into Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Top 5 next coaching questions to be answered, at least in my mind. It's my top 5. All right, number 5. Is there a job out there, because this might have already happened, it might have been TCU, but is there a job out there that just opens up, and he just beat a rival, he's fine. Is there a job out there that opens up out of the blue? Like, is there one? I mean, like, there was that rumor about Mac Brown today, but is there something out there that maybe you could see, like, man, that would be out of the blue?
That's your job.
No, I'm asking you guys.
I can't.
Yeah, like, I mean, Penn State wouldn't be out of the blue because they've been talking about James Franklin all year. You know, if he left and went somewhere else.
No, I don't think there's one out of the blue because I think that the choices are obvious. So, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to believe really there's any out of the blue one right now. I mean, barring some Ed Orgeron type of situation, I mean, I think it's pretty clear what the jobs are and who's on the hot seat or who's already been replaced. Or change. So, yeah, I mean, maybe, but I think it would have to be like a scandal situation for it to arise.
Yeah. Number 4, who's the big assistant to move up? And we've already seen Joe McGuire go, but is it Mike Elko? Is it Marcus Freeman? Is it Bill O'Brien? Who's the next big assistant to move up? Because that's going to be a huge question to answer here in this coaching cycle, because the guys with head coaching experience all, for the most part, are a little uninspiring for most of these jobs that open, right? I mean,
yeah, because they've replaced too many people, so we've just watered it down. That's what's happened. And that's what I've been kind of referring to is that you open up. I mean, there's 15, 16 jobs, and like half of them are like really good programs. Yeah. I mean, so you do that often. I mean, where's Gary Patterson going now? There's one coach that's pretty legendary that's no longer even in the mix, but here comes the offensive coordinator from so and so. You know what I mean? So. I mean, obviously there's going to have to be a group of assistants to start to jump up, or we're just going to get retreads like Mac Brown and Gary Patterson and, those guys.
Like the NBA does.
Yeah, it's going to turn into the NBA basically. But yeah, I mean, those three right there are all, legit top-tier candidates. It does seem, though, that like more of the talk is about, replacing head coaches with head coaches. But, I mean, at some point, some school's going to have to go, the coordinator route.
For example, I would think Wake Forest. If Dave Clawson goes to Virginia Tech, if that's the guy that they want, then maybe Wake Forest would be one of the guys who's going to hire an assistant. Because again, but that's, is that Tony Elliott? Is it Brent Venables? Is it Marcus Freeman? Where do you go there? I'm very curious to see who the assistants are. Now, Joey McGuire was assistant and he's moved up. So who's the next guy in that line that's gonna jump up and go?
Man, when you look at who's available, I mean, as far as the coordinators go, I mean, Joey makes sense, and he couldn't. I mean, like Miami wasn't hiring him. Like that was a very Texas hire was getting Joey McGuire, so it made sense there. But yeah, I mean, that's one job that's pretty big that, quite frankly, all those guys are as qualified, if not more qualified for. But Joey makes sense because again, the Texas ties. But yeah,
is Grinch on there?
He's one of the guys you can talk about.
Yeah, he should absolutely be on the list.
Seems to be. At least you have to look at that.
Yeah, but I don't think there's like a ton of great momentum for him either. Is
there any value for Graham Harrell?
No, not right now. It doesn't appear to be. I mean, USC is a forgotten about team at the moment. Quite frankly, they're okay. I mean, he's done an okay job, but quite frankly, it's just been kind of weird with the quarterback situation, the stuff you hear behind the scenes, and. Yeah, I don't know, but he could be mentioned, but he's like number 25 on the list of assistants probably that, are looking to make a jump to a head coaching job.
Yeah, he's going to have to probably go somewhere
on the
else
out of the blue, Mike Games on the chat room. If Michigan loses to Ohio State, could that be Harbaugh?
Yeah, that could maybe.
Out of the blue, Stoops leaves Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, like there's definitely some out of the blue. I mean, but where would he go? I mean, I know Mark Stoops does have some, maybe Miami or somebody like that. That could make sense. So yeah, it would have to either be like trouble occurs and it's something unforeseen like that, or just an unforeseen coach leaving like a Stoops to Miami.
Yeah. Number 3, if Sonny Dykes does go to TCU, I mean, you mentioned it earlier in the show, Craig. I mean, Sonny Dykes hasn't really come out and been like, no. I love it here. There's not been a lot of pushback on that. Then who goes to SMU? Who's a good fit for that job? I'm very curious. And that job opens up, given what we've seen there and what they're able to do. Where do you go to keep the momentum that Sonny Dykes has built? And Chad Morris a little bit before him, but Sonny Dykes really took it to the next level.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of talking. SMU is such a small fan base that, and I know Baylor's not the biggest in the world, but SMU is even smaller. So there's not like a whole lot of talk that I've seen from their fan base. But I don't know, Rhett Lashley maybe. Trying to think of who else would be. I mean, Joey McGuire would have made really good sense for that job. I mean, shoot, what about a Jeff Grimes? What about someone like that? I mean, I don't want to see him lead Baylor with what he's doing with the offense, but there's an assistant who's not really been mentioned at all that you can see sooner rather than later making a jump like that. But, yeah, for some reason my brain went directly to Rhett Lashley. And besides that, I don't know. That's a good question.
Rhett Lashley
runs How about Gary Patterson?
Well, I thought of that one too, and I'm just trying to think of. I mean, obviously he could probably go there and do well, but like him and SMU, I don't know.
Is Rick Hart going to call Gary Patterson?
No, that's right.
I don't think that's going to happen. So
you never know what bridge you might burn when you're burning it.
That's true.
I think so. All right, number 2. Is Manny Diaz still in trouble? They fired their AD, which usually means you fire the coach. But given all the stuff the AD has to do, is getting rid of the coach really the thing you want to do right now, given the fact that, and I'm not trying to say Manny Diaz has done a good job or whatever, but do you want to fire the coach and then have to turn around and build new facilities when pretty much everything that's going on in Miami has nothing to do with the coach? I mean, everything that has to do with Miami is the fact that they've put really nothing into their football program and have not been able to keep pace with anyone around them.
Well, if that's the case, even though it's still a lure, why would you then fire him to bring somebody in when it may not be any longer a destination location?
Exactly.
Like Scott Frost getting that restructured contract because Lincoln, no matter what, their history is not really right now a destination location.
Well, and y'all saw the latest rumor with the Miami job, right?
Well, Lane Kiffin. Well, the guy, if you go to the guy's Twitter profile that wrote that, was like, I break stories. And he said that. But to me, that sounds like somebody that's a power broker that wants Manny Diaz out told him that Lane Kiffin would totally come there in order to maybe push that momentum for Manny Diaz getting out. When if you're Lane Kiffin, why would you leave the SEC to go to a place that doesn't even have an on-campus stadium?
Well, you know the rumor originated, right? It originated from, I think it was Dan Wetzel talking to Nevin Shapiro. That's who he got the information from on Lane Kiffin. That's where that started, was Nevin Shapiro. Take the source into account. But, yeah, I mean, I certainly feels like he's in trouble. And no matter what they're saying, it certainly feels like he's basically on the edge of being gone either now, soon, or certainly by next year if things don't change pretty dramatically.
And it'll be a DC at a Power 5 school in an hour after he gets fired because he's really good at that particular job. All right, number 1, what happens with Dan Mullen? Like, what do you do if they lose to Missouri this week or FSU next? I mean, what do you do if you're Florida about Dan Mullen? Because Scott Strickland and he work together at Mississippi State. They have a good working relationship, but the money's about to turn if it hasn't already on Dan Mullen. And while you shouldn't necessarily do things because of what the money does, you kind of have to, and I don't know. I mean,
what's his contract situation? I mean,
he just signed a 6-year extension and is a $12 million
I know they can write a check.
That's why you don't hire Dave Aranda to an extension right now.
That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah, even though that seems to be, let's extend somebody. Well, can we let him win a few more games?
Why are we extending him? Because Twitter said that some school is interested. Oh, well, let's give him $10 million a year extra for no reason. Even though they could cave at the final 2 weeks.
Stephen Snook, the guy who broke the Diaz story, is under house arrest.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he has plenty of time. Yeah, he has time to make contact.
Burning up the phone lines. But, you start to look kind of at the future, too. I don't think Mullen's going to be gone this year unless they just really, over these next couple weeks, just get to the point of no return somehow. But, who would you even go get if you're Florida? I mean, that's the thing, too, is like there's already 14 schools lined up ahead of you that have already gotten a head start on this thing. Now, I know Florida's a bigger brand than all of those schools, basically, other than USC, LSU, but I mean, yeah.
But a rival has an opening. LSU has an opening. And if you're Florida, you're not beating LSU to the punch for a coach.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what purpose the timing would serve right now unless you just know of some guy who is lined up, ready to go, and is a huge name that would make a splash, because otherwise you might as well just continue gritting your teeth and getting through it for at least one more season. But, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a touchy spot right now. You look at Sark at Texas, like, I'm not trying to put him on hot seat watch, but, like, seriously, if they close the season on a 7-game losing streak, I believe he'll be back next year. I don't have any doubts about that. But beyond that, they would have to show some dramatic improvements. So, man, all these big jobs that are already opened up this year, and then you look at Florida and who knows, maybe down the line Texas, and there's still all that rumor about Lincoln Riley, and I mean it's crazy. Yeah. It's really crazy.
It is wide open. Thanks to Todd Berry for giving us so much insight. The AFCA executive director. I'm going to go back home, get myself ready to have salad, dinner, whatever, and I'm going to listen to that yet again because there's a lot I probably need to digest again.
Yeah, I know we need to run, but that was actually really informative on a lot of the issues that we've talked about, day after day when college football comes up, from NIL to transfer portal. I mean, if you're interested in the ins and outs and what the coaches are thinking, they're not all happy with this either, very clearly. That was a really informative segment.
All right, thanks to Armstrong Sims. Thanks to Hayden Bumpus in the studio as well.